Hello, world. It's me again, J. Paul, from the window to the wall. You know what it is. Here with another one, man. A very inspirational young man. I'm talking about the founder and CEO of Verendus Comics. He's also an author. Here to discuss his latest publication, Instant, Chapter 1, Blink of an Eye. One in which he's also the star character. This is going to be real interesting. I'm here with none other, Mr. Absalon White Jr. Let's get it. Absalon White Jr., how are you, big brother? Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks for asking. All right, man, let's jump into it, man. Instant, Chapter 1, Blink of an Eye. Out right now. Are also the founder and CEO of Verendus Comics.
That is correct.
Verendus Comics, man.
Yeah.
Tell us all about it.
So Verendus, I started it back in 2020. It was during the pandemic, the shutdown, and I didn't have a lot of time on I had nothing but time actually to really just work on Instant, and I knew that I wanted to publish Instant shortly after, and so I started going hard on the writing and the story of Instant, and I knew that I wanted a publishing company to publish Instant through. So I founded Verendus Comics, and the name Verendus means awesome, awe-inspiring, and worthy of reverence. So I thought that's a nice meaning towards the company itself, my publishing company.
You're not only the author, but the character itself is inspired by you yourself, the author.
Yeah.
The character Instant, man.
Yeah.
Tell us all about it.
So in the story, I am Instant, and it was something that I thought was really cool to make myself the hero. When I started writing back in 2014, I initially wrote Instant, but he wasn't going to be me. He was just going to have a random alias or name or whatever. But shortly after, I decided, why not make Instant yourself? I've always wanted to be a superhero. I've always wanted to have powers. So I figured if I'm the author, I can make myself a superhero. And so I didn't know how people were going to receive that, if they were going to like it or not. But after publishing it in 2022, I had nothing but positive feedback from it. People loved the idea of myself being the hero, and I've had people, like friends and families and people that I didn't even get along with asking me if they could be in the book, and they're like, "Oh, can I be the villain?" I'm like, "That makes sense that you want to be the villain," but I just had people now just everywhere. It's one of the most common questions that I get asked is, "Can I be in the story?" And the answer is always going to be no. Just for obvious reasons, legalities. I feel it wouldn't fit with the story well. Kind of be a little odd. But that is a question that I get asked a lot: is, can I be in the story? And the answer is still no.
Well, man, one thing I can say, man, from looking at the cover, okay, you can't do what Peter Parker did. You can't do what the Hulk did. Okay, because this character actually looks like you.
Yeah. This character looks just like me. Yeah.
Hey, man, that's a cheat code, okay?
Yeah, it's a cheat code.
The differences between comics with illustration itself. In modern times, we see the fanfare of anime. Back in my day, we used to have what we call the funny paper or the Sunday comics. And we also have comic illustration like yours. So what's the difference between the three?
So, comic books, anime were mangas, Japanese comics, the word for, Japanese comics. Japanese comics, manga, American comics are pretty much the same. A few differences are, of course, in Japan, they read from right to left, whereas we read from left to right. American comics have color, and manga does not. It's typically black and white. And the details and the drawings for most artists in manga are a lot more expressive, a lot more detailed than American comics. And then funny comics from your time, I think you're talking about like the Toon comics and stuff like that. There was a lot more simplistic drawings. I think those were also, depending on the story, were black and white too, right? The funny comics, or some of them were also colored too, or I think there was a bit of a mix of them.
The black and white was before my time. I'm not. Come on, man.
You're not that old. But no.
But there was always been a mix. Like to your point, in the manga area, like you said with the Chinese comics, some are color illustrations, others are in black and white. I think that's always been a thing, even in motion pictures and visuals. Black and white aesthetics as opposed to the color. I think those things are tools used to kind of add explanation to your expression. What is the reasoning behind coloring?
I think, just to add a more expressive feel to, the story, it's a bit more captivating being able to see something in color. I think the reason that they don't do it in Japan really is more time and cost efficient, especially because a lot of manga artists are working pretty much day in and day out. So they pretty much don't have any day offs, and it's almost a 24/7 kind of ordeal for a lot of them, to the point where a lot of big name manga artists go through health issues during their middle age, and because it's very stressful on them. Some artists publish in Japan, they publish manga weekly. And then others publish monthly, and that could be very taxing. Even having a small team behind them to help out, maybe here and there with some of the the artwork or this or that, is still pretty taxing on them. So I think that not having color in manga probably saves them a little bit of time, saves them a little bit of money as well.
Wow, man, that's something I never considered, and I'm sure the audience may have never considered either the health factors of it, because I interviewed a guy last year who's an artist out of Dallas. And I watched this guy on social media paint, and it looks very physical being an artist. So I can only imagine just being there, face down on a pad, painting, the detail involved. I'm sure it has to be somewhat strenuous on the body physically, the hands, the neck, the back. I can imagine the spinal aspects of it, as well as the visual. So with you being so young, man, how long have you been honing in on your craft?
So I started back in 2014 or 2015. I was 14 at the time, and so a little over a decade now. I've been, writing. I've been drawing. I didn't do the artwork for Insta, but all the designs are mine. And so I hired an artist to do it digitally, because I don't do digital work, but I can draw on paper. And so all the designs you see are mine, but the digital aspect, I hired AJ Cerezo to do the artwork who I talked about in the past. Really great artist.
Man, great, man. And speaking of which, you had a recent opportunity to visit an art institute. Man, tell us all about that. And what was that experience like? And was it your first experience of that sort, being requested as an author?
It was kind of the first in the sense that it was a bit bigger. So the staff and teachers at the Arts Academy saw my interview on ABC. And so they mentioned to me that they were doing a fundraiser for the students to go out and fly out to DC to meet the president. And they wanted me to be that drawing factor for families to want to come out and buy tickets, to which the money of the tickets would go towards the students. And so they said, hey, we want you to be that drawing factor. We want you to be the guy that makes people want to come out and purchase these tickets, and families and kids and everything. And so I was like, I'm down with that. And Mrs. Common, who set the thing up from start to finish, she's amazing. She titled it or themed the event as Release Your Inner Superhero, because she knows that I'm instant, and she wanted the kids to kind of get that aspect, for themselves, to be their own superhero and to release their inner superhero. And so that was a fun event.
And what was the response from the students?
Right. So I remember arriving on campus. This is a very big campus. Mrs. Common told me in advance how big it was. I just didn't realize. So she told me that it was grades K through 8, and there were 100 students per grade. So that was like 900 or upwards of 1,000 students. Whoa. And as soon as I arrived on the campus, I parked my car. Kids were letting out. And so there were hundreds of kids and students just releasing and getting picked up and everything. And I was like, oh man. So I kind of had this, bit of anxiety moment for about 10 minutes. I just sat there. I was like, oh my God. Like, the first thought that went through my mind was like, I don't have security. I don't have backup with me. There's a lot of kids here. Instant. They were all expecting me. And so I get out of the car after 10 minutes. I'm just sitting there like, what do I do? And I start to peek around the back of the car, and I'm like, do they see me? And I just kind of walk through, kind of like they won't notice me if I just walk through casually. And so I start to see kids kind of look, and they're pointing, they're yanking on their mom, they're kind of pointing as I'm walking by. And I go through the main office, and there are 2 students who Mrs. Common who had signed to me as my assistants or my escorts throughout the day. And so they walked me from the main office to the classroom, and that walk was about a good 10 minutes. Like I said, the campus is huge. Like, there are multiple buildings on the campus itself. And so going through the campus towards the cafeteria, I noticed that I could hear footsteps and stuff behind me. So I look back, and like 5 kids, and they got their, the cameras and their flashlights on, they're recording. And I keep on walking, and there's like 10 kids, and I hear them. I look back, there's more kids. And by the time I get to the cafeteria, there's like 40 kids or so behind me recording with their camera lights out. And I remember going through the cafeteria and up the steps, going towards the classrooms. And there's like 10 or 15 more kids coming down at the same time. So I got like 40 kids behind me recording, and 10 kids coming towards me. And they stop in their tracks, their eyes get big, and they look at each other, and they're like, "Is that him?" And they're like, "That's him." As they start pulling out their cameras as well, and they start recording me, so I have to like go through this crowd of people. So now by the time I get to the classroom, it's like 50 or so students behind me, just recording me with their phones and their cameras out. So that was a pretty fun experience, and a humbling experience for sure.
Man, that's dope, man. That's dope, man. And hey, man, to whom much is given, much is required. And, man, not saying that as a fear factor, but just saying, young man, that I am definitely impressed. I'm also inspired by what you're doing, and I want to encourage you, man, to don't take that lightly. Because a lot of eyes are on you, and a lot of people are inspired by what you do because that particular event, I'm sure you saw the enthusiasm from the youth, to meet someone like you who has the same interest. Yeah. So what was some of your some of the things you shared with the group?
I just told them to chase after their dreams. I think that's super important. That's something that I had to learn to do kind of on my own. And, I chased after my dreams. It got hard. There were times where I felt like people were probably doubting me or didn't think that I was actually going to do it because of how long it took me to, publish it digitally. And so, there were people who knew since the time I was 14 that comic books was what I was doing, something that I wanted to do. But they didn't know when I was going to release it. And after 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and I started releasing things, I'm pretty sure they probably lost hope in me. But just never give up. Keep chasing after your dreams and do it. And I always tell people, and I've mentioned before in different interviews, that the first 8 years or so between the time I started writing and the time I published, I saw as practice and as time to hone my skills as an artist. And so I think that that's kind of the biggest message that I always can give to younger people who are looking to do what I do. And that was kind of the message that I imparted into them when I was there at the event.
Absolutely. And man, that's a great message. Just your journey itself is a great message, because with anything you aim to do, there's a process. Yeah. And, like it's written, the race isn't given to the swift, but the one that endured, and you endured. And man, congratulations and kudos to you on your first publication, Instant, Chapter 1, a blink of an eye, the start of a series that everyone out there listening and viewing can get right now on Amazon, either digitally or get a hard copy. So be sure to go over to Amazon and support this young fella because he put in the work and he's definitely deserving of the support. Now, I want to ask you a question about that particular event. Yeah. Because it was an opportunity for you to be one of those individuals that are inspirations to the youth and people in your area of animation and illustration. Yeah. But what was one of the most memorable moments for you in that moment?
I think just being able to autograph the posters, being able to take pictures with the families. Those were very memorable moments. Receiving the fan art, there's some talented students, as you can imagine, being at an art academy, and they created some amazing fan art, which I posted to my Instagram, and it was cool seeing other people drawing me or drawing Instant, and giving that to me, and so it's something that I cherish and something that's very memorable for me.
Like you mentioned, you was in the car, you got out the car, and you had a small mob behind you. It was granted, it was a safe mob, a fanfare. Have you ever experienced that before prior to that?
Not quite like that, but I did have an interesting phone call with the customer service representative back in December. I was trying to I was trying to replace a defective product. So I called Amazon customer service, And, they did the standard, hey, what's your first and last name so we can pull up your account. So I gave him my first and last name. It's the woman that I'm talking to. And, she starts, kind of gasping and hyperventilating. She's like, I'm like, are you okay? She's like, yeah, you're Absalon. I've always wanted to talk to a celebrity, and this is amazing. Like, Christmas is 2 weeks away, and like, this is the best Christmas gift I could ever ask for. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm talking to you. I'm like, I'm glad I could make your Christmas. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna ask my supervisors if I could keep the call recording as proof that I talked to you.
Oh, what?
Yeah, so I was like, you do that. I should have asked her if I could get a recording too. I thought that'd be cool, but I didn't think I'd ask her.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was a pretty fun experience for me, and it just kind of made me feel good to know that I made someone else's holidays just by them talking to me.
Man, so with that attention, how does it feel, knowing all the work you put in, all those years, all the leg work, all the ideas, finally seeing it come to fruition a couple of years back, just getting to the end of the road with only chapter 1 so far to go now.
Yep.
But finally getting here, how does that feel?
Very rewarding. It's pretty much the only way I could explain it. It's just super rewarding. It's something that I knew that I wanted to do. I doubted myself at times, but I knew that I really wanted to continue to push forward and do it. Mm-hmm. And so I did. I didn't give up on my dreams, and to see all of this take place, getting television appearances on ABC, and getting a television appearance on PBS, and going to the Phoenix Comic-Con, and just all of these things, talking to you on your podcast, which you've been doing incredible with, by the way. Thank
you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just very rewarding being able to see all this, add ups, having fans, having fan art be given to me, having people ask me if they could be in my book. Those calls, when you're talking to the customer service rep and they're geeking out over talking to you, that's all just rewarding.
Absolutely. And you actually have the same opportunity approaching.
I do.
January 24th.
Yes.
You have another event and book signing. So, man, tell the people about that, and when will it be and what to expect?
Yeah, so January 24th, it'll be at the Buckeye Public Library from 10 a.m. to about 11 a.m. And it's going to be a book signing, so I'm really excited. This is going to be my first time actually being able to sign the book itself after it's been, published hardcover edition. So I'm really excited for people to experience that. I'll be selling 10 copies, and I'll be having a bunch of posters as well that'll be going along with those copies that you guys will get for free. So both the book itself will be signed, the poster will be signed, and so I'm excited for that. And they found me in the same way that the Arts Academy did. It was through watching my interviews on ABC and PBS.
Great exposure, man. But everyone that gets exposure doesn't get called.
That is true. Not everybody who gets the exposure gets that call. Not everybody is able to capitalize on it for whatever reason may be. And so that's something that, I've kind of feared before is, will I be able to capitalize on this? Will I be able to get that call back? And so I'm starting to see that a lot, with all the things that I've experienced so far.
Well, you can be humble, but I don't have to be, okay? It's because everyone isn't good, okay? That's really all it is, okay? So hey, man, it lets you know you're doing something right.
I guess.
Yeah. So keep up the good work, young man.
Thank you.
Because you are the epitome of what my platform represents. After the break, I don't know if you know, but after the break, originally started from the radio show, which I had you on as a guest when I started in radio and broadcasting, and you being a great example of that to all communities abroad. You're a great example for your generation, man, and I'm so impressed, man. I'm so honored to be here with you, man.
I appreciate that.
Thank you for welcoming me to your home and for sharing this moment, for sitting down with me.
Absolutely.
Tell the people, man, how can they reach out to you on social media to follow what you got going and the things to come?
So you can follow me on Instagram. It's the platform that I'm the most active on. I post all types of things. So of course, upcoming events that I got, like the book signing. hardcover edition, the release of it, and anything else in the future to come regarding Instant and Verendus Comics, you can expect that. So please give me a follow on Instagram at Absalon White Jr.
That's Absalon, Absalon, White like the color, and Junior like his daddy's son.
Yep.
You know, comics have always been a part of the culture, and comics have always been things that we all love. I used to be a collector as a youngster, but one thing I never met, man, I never met a person around us that actually took the initiative to be an author in this area, man. And so I really applaud you for that, young man.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work, man. Keep up the great work.
Thank you. At the Buckeye Public Library from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And there'll also be a Q&A session I think they'll be doing as well. So get to know a little bit more about me.
Here on After the Break, Absalon White Jr., thanks for being with me, man.
Thank you.
All right. Till next time, respect and salute. Be gone.